briefly share with you before we get into the message. I've known Mike and Sandy for, what, about 35 years, Mike? Back in the 80s?
We went to a ministerial school together
Yes,
at Calvary Christian
and it
Center.
was,
That's right.
Blessed.
I remember.
Known Sandy, I think, just about as long.
Yeah.
Almost as long. She's not as old as the rest of us are. So she's young. Anyway, I love you guys so much, and thanks again.
Amen.
I like one of the things he shared as we were worshiping. You can have your own private worship service wherever you are, and I was thinking at the Twisted Sisters Coffee Place, or at the Redway True Value, or at the Eel River Cafe. You know, we're just trying to get all the commercials in right now.
Don't forget Deb's.
And Deb's.
And I'm below.
So I was listening to a lady who called a radio pastor. The pastor was a wise, grandfatherly gentleman who had that calm, reassuring voice that can melt all fear. The lady, who was obviously crying, said, "Pastor, I was born blind, and I've been blind all my life. I don't mind so much being blind, but I have some well-meaning friends who tell me that if I had more faith, I could be healed." Pastor asked her, "Tell me, you carry one of those white canes?" "Well, yes, I do, Pastor." "Well, then the next time someone says that, hit them over the head with a cane. And then tell them if you had more faith, it wouldn't hurt." Psalm chapter 34. Psalm chapter 34, verses 1 to 7. Hallelujah. It says, "I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. My soul shall make its boast in the Lord. The humble shall hear of it and be glad.
Glory.
Oh, magnify the Lord with me, and let us exalt his name together. I sought the Lord. Guess what? He heard me,
Yes.
and he delivered me from all my fears. They looked to him and were radiant, and their faces were not ashamed. The poor man cried out, and the Lord heard him, saved him out of all his troubles. The angel of the Lord encamps all around those who fear him and delivers them."
Praise the Lord.
Angels. The angel of the Lord encamps all around those who fear him, delivers them. A study was done in 2000 asking how many people believed in angels. 81% said yes, while only 50% believed in demons. So I want to ask you this question referring to verse 7, where it says, "The angel of the Lord camps around those who fear him and delivers them." Are you conscious of that happening in your life? Or do you just believe it does? You know, I've got to say before going too far, I believe in angels, and I am conscious of their work in my life.
Yeah.
I believe they do a work and have a place in our lives. I want to give you a real-life illustration of one of the reasons why I believe. 1960, there's an uprising in Kenya. During that time, missionaries Matt and Laura Higgins had to drive through hostile territory on their way to Nairobi. Well aware that many had met violent deaths at the hands of the terrorists in that area. After dark, about 17 miles from Nairobi, Land Rover they were driving failed. Matt tried in vain to repair the vehicle, but couldn't. The couple was forced to lock the doors and pray for safety. They awoke safely, repaired the car, and traveled on to Nairobi. Some days later, they heard an interesting story from an individual who was in contact with that particular terrorist group. Matt and Lori had slept that night. 3 terrorists had came upon them and intended to kill them. Suddenly, though, the terrorists had seen 16 strong men surrounding the car and fled in fear. Matt and Laura had came home to the U.S. not long after that. They were puzzled by the identity of those 16 men until they returned. When they came home to America, they'd heard the testimony of a friend of theirs on March 23rd. God had put on one of his friends' hearts to begin praying. And he called the men at their church, and 16 of them gathered for prayer on their behalf.
That's great. Thank you, God. Yes.
God works. God works. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2, do not forget to entertain strangers, for by so doing some have unwittingly entertained angels. You know, I think I'll put it like this. If God places it on your heart to pick up a hitchhiker, or if God puts it on your heart to maybe buy somebody a meal, maybe somebody that you don't know, it could be that you are entertaining angels without even knowing it.
Yes. Yes.
Again, the angel of the Lord encamps around them who fear him, and he delivers them. This is a promise for me. It's a promise for you. And with many promises that God gives us in the Word, it's a promise with a condition. That condition is for those who fear God. And that's what it says. Those who fear God. But this is a good kind of fear. The main Hebrew and Greek words used to translate that word fear probably means a whole lot different than what we would think of. Most of us, when we think of fear, we think of something that's going to have something bad happening to us. But in the translation here, the word fear is to respect or to reverence. It acknowledges God and his good intentions in our life. It's a reverential fear. Acts chapter 9 verse 31 says the churches throughout all Judea, Galilee, Samaria had peace and were edified and were walking in the fear of the Lord, and they were multiplied. These churches mentioned as a result of their reverence and respect of God, and in the words here of this scripture, in their fear of God. It says they were multiplied. I want us to understand something here this morning as we have seen our church grow and continue to grow. We will continue to multiply as we as a body fear God. As we reverence him, as we respect him, we will continue to see God moving upon this body. So I encourage you this morning, hold on to that reverence for our God.
Amen.
Respect him. Fear him. So that we will continue to grow in him.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you something. We did something here, and I wanted to hold off and tell you this later on this year, but a few weeks ago, we said our BGMC goal is going to be doubled. And we're on track to hit that doubling. All right. I don't want to see one chair empty in this church by the end of this year.
Yeah.
As you respect and reverence God, we will see that growth continue to happen.
Yeah.
The angel of the Lord encamps around us. Every one of us has faced hard times. It doesn't matter how godly you are, you will face hard times at some time in your life. Sometimes trouble comes because of enemies around us. Does anyone here have people that don't like you? Probably. Some of you didn't even raise your hand. I don't know if it's just your hand didn't want to move or what it was, or you didn't want to admit it, but I got to talk to your secret guys on this side of the church. Maybe someone that talks bad about you. Maybe someone tells lies about you. Maybe even steals from you. Maybe even try to hurt you. Then there are spiritual forces that come against us.
Yes, sir.
We fight spiritual battles.
Yes.
Sometimes those battles are very intense. David gives us encouragement here when he tells us the angel of the Lord encamps around us. Not only does he camp around us, but he delivers us also. And it's amazing to know that God will send angels to take care of us. Because of this, I can say with confidence that you can win any battle, any trial that comes against you, because God will send His angels to camp around you, to protect you, and to fight those battles for you. Psalm 91:11 says, "For He shall give His angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways." Message Bible puts it like this: He ordered His angels to guard you wherever you go. Isn't it nice to know that God has not only placed His angels around you, and that they are camping around you? Every time I move on this platform, my angels got to move. The angels are placed around us to guard us in all of our ways. I need that protection. I need that support, the guardianship. Wherever I go, they're with me. So as you're walking around in life, be conscious of that. Realize that God has placed, He's assigned angels over you. In 2 Kings chapter 8, it begins the story of Elisha. And I know many of you have, if not all of you, have heard that story, that Syria was at war with Israel. And it seemed that every move the king of Syria made against Israel, Israel was one step ahead of him. The king of Syria got upset. He figured one of his men was a spy for the king of Israel. And he was telling Israel about every move that they were going to make. But then one of his servants says, "No, king. No, king. There's a man in Israel. He's a prophet named Elisha, who tells the king of Israel every word that you speak in your bedroom." I got one chuckle out of that. But do you think that God's got a sense of humor here? Tells Elisha every word that you speak in your bedroom. He was told that Elisha was in Dothan. So the king of Syria sent horses and chariots and a great army and surrounded the city of Dothan at nighttime. And it's amazing to me here again that the king would send a great army to capture one guy. Just one guy. And then Gehazi, he was Elisha's servant. He gets up early in the morning, and he looks up, he goes outside, and he looks up, and he sees this army. And I can just picture him looking at the hills around him. Oh my gosh. What's going on here? And he looks and hollers for Elisha. Out of a panic, hollers for Elisha because he begins to panic himself because he'd seen this large army surrounding the whole city. And I'm sure he figured it was all over, everything was all over, and you and I think, like he did, we've forgotten or we've gotten out of pretty bad situations at times.
That's right.
But this one, there's no way out. We're surrounded. He called for Elisha to come out and says, what are we going to do? You ever done that to God before? What am I going to do, God? And Elisha gives his classic answer. He looks at Gehazi and says, don't worry. He didn't yell back at him. Gehazi's yelling, help, what are we going to do? Elisha looks back at him and says, don't worry. And I can picture Elisha looking up at the hills surrounding Dothan. They sees the army encamped around him, camped on the hillsides around. And he follows the circle around of the mountains, and then he just starts looking one more time. And he just starts laughing.
Yeah.
He just starts laughing. Gehazi, you just don't see what I see. He sees the army camped around the city, and then he takes another look around, and God's camped around the city.
Hallelujah.
It says to Gehazi, do you see God's army there? Gehazi says, no.
Yes.
Then Elisha begins to pray. Just a real simple prayer. God, open his eyes. God, open his eyes. He didn't do any big song and dance with his prayer. He didn't get overly zealous about it. Some people think you got to pray a certain way and you got to call for the fire coming down from heaven. He said, God, open his eyes. God, open his eyes. So what was it that Elisha wanted his servant to see? All Gehazi could see was a Syrian army, and Elisha wanted him to see God's army surrounding him. An army of angels ready to protect Elisha and Gehazi. Because that's how God takes care of you and I. The Syrian army was big, but the angel army was so many times bigger and stronger than any natural army could ever think of being.
That's right.
So before going any further, I want to ask you, when you're in trouble, when you're facing trials in life and you face something that it seems like you're not going to be able to get through that problem, what do you see?
Yeah.
When you're going through trials, what do you see? I trust that you will see the angel army camped around you. Don't begin to panic. You wouldn't believe the things that I hear people tell me when they're going through trials that they go through and what they do, how they react to it. what do you see? Do you see the trial? Do you see the tribulation? Do you see the trouble ahead of you? Or do you see God's angels surrounding you to take care of you, to protect you? And I trust that you'll see the angel army camped around you, ready for anything that comes your way, ready for anything that begins to harm you or that would want to harm you. So here's the rest of the story. The Syrian army comes down into the town. And Elisha didn't panic because he knew they were coming for him. Elisha prayed, and here's how he prayed. He said, Lord, strike this people with blindness. And then Elisha said to them, and by the way, they were blinded instantaneously. And then Elisha said to them, this is not the way or the right city. They were in the right city, in case you didn't pick up on that. Elisha told them, you're in the wrong city. And he said, follow me and I will bring you to the man you're looking for. I hope you're getting this, guys, ladies. He said, follow me and I will show you the guy that you're looking for. Here's the guy that they're looking for, taking him for a walk. They take him to a part of the country called Samaria. And they marched him right up to the king of Israel's doorsteps. And the king of Israel, of course, he didn't know what was going on. He's going, what are you doing bringing the army here? And he asked Elisha, what am I supposed to do with them? You know what Elisha told him? Fix a feast. Feed them. Feed them. And you know what? From that point on, Israel didn't have a problem with the king of Syria again. And Elisha prayed one more time. God, restore their sight. And their sight was restored. This whole army, God restored their sight. I want to share with you another story about a missionary to the New Hebrides. He had aroused the anger of the local chief by his successes in preaching the gospel. The chief hired a man to kill the missionary. The man went to the missionary's house, but instead of murdering him, he returned in terror, saying he had seen a row of men dressed in white surrounding the missionary's home. The chief thought the man who had drank too much whiskey and encouraged him to try again. Next time, others of the tribe accompanied him. That night, they all saw 3 rows of men standing between them and the missionary's home. When the chief asked the missionary where he kept the men in the daytime who surrounded his house, at night, Patton, knowing nothing of what had happened, disclaimed the whole idea that this had even happened. And when the chief, in his amazement, told his story, the missionary realized the natives had seen the angel army surrounding his house that God had sent to protect this missionary. See, I almost jumped on that one myself. Almost did. God sent the missionary an army to protect him in time of trouble. Many have heard the story of Daniel in the lion's den. The Bible says God sent his angel and shut the mouths of the lions. God cared about Daniel back then. Daniel's life was not too small, or nor was it too insignificant for God to care. I want us to understand this morning. God sees you, sees your every need. God cares about you. God hears your prayer. When you're going through the worst trial of your life, you may feel like you're all alone. But God has assigned angels to protect you, to guard you, to deliver you. I want you to take a moment and look around you. Not at the people around you, but just to look around you. And realize that you're surrounded by the army of God to protect you, to keep you safe, for whatever it is that you face. And I know there's people here this morning that are facing crises in their lives. God's army is there. I pray that God opens our eyes like He opened the servant's eyes of Elisha, Gehazi. Open our eyes, oh God. Father, this morning I pray that you open the eyes of this people this morning. That as we face whatever it is that we may face in life, God, I know that you go before us. I know that you go before us. You protect us, Lord. Keep us safe in your name. Father, if there's anyone here this morning that's facing something that they feel like it's just too much for them to bear, God, I pray that their eyes are open to see that you're there, to see that you have assigned an angel to take care of that situation in their life. I thank you for that, Lord. Amen. Amen. I love you. God is good.
All the time.